For a solid backhand, you must actively control your racket head's movement. Watch my racket head closely. It follows a path of setting, lifting, and then rotating. It's a process of relaxing, creating an arc to brush the ball, and then rotating to transfer power. This principle applies to backhand rips, loops, and flicks. A basic backhand drive is different. You keep the wrist firm and use mainly the forearm. But to generate spin, you must use a small to large kinetic chain. The reverse won't work. Otherwise, you can't brush the ball effectively because the contact time is too brief. The window for brushing is too short, so you must initiate from small to large. First, use the racket head to start the spin, then, based on the time you have, decide how much forearm and upper arm to add for more quality. Use the racket head to generate spin, which then dictates how much forearm and upper arm to engage. The amount of forearm and upper arm you use determines the spin and quality of your shot. Because the backhand involves adduction and abduction, the demand for precise brushing is higher. If you can't brush the ball on your backhand, you can't loop it. On the forehand, you can lift with your upper arm, but you can't do that on the backhand. Therefore, for any shot with spin, always go from small to large, focus on getting the racket head rotating first. Once the racket head rotates, engage the forearm. Once the forearm rotates, engage the upper arm. The stroke is then complete. You must follow this swing path. If you master the backhand drive, the foundation for your backhand loop, rip, and flick will be correct. The trajectory of a backhand drive should be like opening a fan. From my backswing, I'm not going straight forward, straight up, or straight to the right. Not forward, not up, not to the right. I need to follow an arc. After the backswing, you follow this arc continuously. Imagine your body is a clock face, 12, 6, 3, and 9 o'clock. Without making the motion too large, I must start from 6 o'clock and swing through 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, and stop at 2 o'clock. Your swing is not directly from 6 to 12 o'clock, nor is it directly from 6 to 2 o'clock. None of those straight angles are correct. You need to create an arc. The same principle applies to the forehand. My backswing goes from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, up to 12 o'clock. The forehand has an arc, and the backhand has an arc. This is because a ping pong ball is round. If it were square, this wouldn't matter. You wouldn't need to consider inside or outside arcs. The ball is round, and to generate spin, we also need to use an arcing motion. Your stroke must create an arc to make your shots more consistent and higher quality. If you don't have an arc and just hit straight, you might get the ball on the table, but you can't do it with power. When you face high spin, high quality shots, or when you try to produce them yourself, these technical flaws will be exposed in a match. So, your forehand needs this arc, and your backhand needs this arc. Once you have mastered both of these arcs, you can start to swing with power. You'll be able to return high-quality shots with high quality, instead of just blocking or pushing them back softly to stay in the point. For both forehand and backhand, you must focus on creating this swing path, this small arc, this parabola. Once you establish this arc, many problems with spin will solve themselves. The backhand needs an arc, and the forehand needs an arc. With the backhand drive, many players can't hit the crosscourt angle. When I was young, I had the same problem. I couldn't hit that angle and would always hit to the middle or down the line. So, don't rely on twisting your wrist to hit crosscourt. What should you use? Your elbow. We're talking about the drive, not the rip. The rip relies on the racket head. So for the drive, what do? Engage your elbow. When you engage your elbow, the entire racket face angle will naturally open up for the shot. Once you drive down with your elbow, the crosscourt angle appears naturally. Don't rely on twisting your wrist to hit crosscourt. In a match, a shot made that way is too slow and gives your opponent too many opportunities. So, we must use our elbow to execute the backhand drive. When the elbow drives down, the racket head will point towards the crosscourt angle, and the ball will go there naturally. The elbow is crucial. You can't keep it static. If your elbow doesn't move, you're forced to just flick your wrist. Because if you swing straight, the ball only goes to the middle. You have to twist your wrist to hit it crosscourt. This twisting action will cause too many errors. So when you play, use your elbow, drive with your elbow. The backhand swing path is not necessarily easier than the forehand. Getting the backhand on the table is easy, but mastering it is hard. That's why we must emphasize the use of the elbow in the backhand drive. Engage your elbow, and the ball will naturally go crosscourt. You must master this seemingly simple backhand trajectory. The backswing position for the backhand drive should be at navel height. Don't hold it too low. You lift up for a rip, and you lower down for a drive. The contact point for a rip is above that of a drive, not below it. This is not a rip. This is a rip. The drive's contact point is below the rips, the opposite of the forehand. The backswing is at your navel, not at your left hip, not at your right hip, and not at your lower abdomen, but right at navel height. Start the backswing here, and make contact here. Start the backswing here, and make contact here. This is the backhand drive. Don't place your hand at your navel. Place the racket at your navel. You must place the racket in this position and use rotation to get the ball over the net. Why in the center, at the navel, and not on the left side? If you start on the left, and the ball comes to your right, your body will need to make a very large adjustment. If you place the racket in the center, a small body movement is enough to cover both sides. If you only prepare to hit from one side, you won't be able to handle balls to the other side. Therefore, placing it in the center of your torso is the most fluid hitting position. The backhand racket angle is something amateur players must pay close attention to. Avoid making a secondary adjustment to your racket angle mid-swing. For instance, if you feel the ball is going long or into the net. Your backhand racket face must remain stable. If you think the ball will go long, close the racket face slightly from backswing to follow through. If the ball feels heavy, open it slightly throughout the entire stroke. Do not make a secondary adjustment to the racket angle. In fact, many errors against topspin are caused by you changing your racket angle mid-shot. Keep the racket angle consistent from start to finish, and your backhand stability will definitely improve. My backhand is a very strong part of my technical game. I actually have much more natural talent for the backhand than the forehand. My feeling is that my backhand is never at a disadvantage in a rally, even when playing against the champions you all know. This is because my racket angle is exceptionally stable. If I feel the incoming ball has a lot of spin, I close my racket angle and execute the stroke. If it feels heavy, I open my racket angle and execute. My racket face never wobbles at all. My wrist movement is only for rotation, adduction/abduction. I never have any extra movements like flipping, pushing, pressing, or twisting. I am always generating force forward. If you try this, your backhand will become very reliable in rallies. When you don't use power, you can place the ball consistently. When you do use power, you can still rip it. As you know, the backhand is fundamentally an into-out motion. The slightest wobble in your wrist will cause an error. It demands extremely high stability from your racket face. If you're making a lot of backhand errors, it's definitely because your wrist is either loose on impact or has some unnecessary movement. This creates an element of instability. It might not matter when hitting softly, but as soon as you add some quality, the ball will go out. Or if your opponent adds spin, you will make an error. Therefore, racket face stability is the key to improving your backhand consistency.